Hola, estudiantes. It's Mrs. Santiago here, and today we're going to have an introduction to the past tense or the preterite tense. I'm in your OneNote, Chapter 8, on the page 23, Introduction to the Preterite Tense. I'm going to eliminate the table of contents and make the notes big. Okay, so let's go ahead and take these first notes. There's 3 simple tenses in English and in Spanish. If we're talking about what we did, I studied English, this is called the past tense. If we're talking about I will study English, we are talking about the future tense. And if we're talking about what's happening right now, we're talking about the present tense. Okay, this one is happening right now. Okay, our focus is going to be on the past tense. So far in 7th grade and the beginning of 8th grade, we've only done the present tense. This is our first introduction to the past tense. So, what are the past tenses? Well, they are simple tenses that indicate what's called a past time action or state. There are two, I'm going to underline that. There are two basic past tenses in Spanish. The preterit, or in Spanish, preterito, the preterite tense, and the imperfect. But now we will only be focusing on the preterite tense. I'm going to put a bubble around that. Perfect. So, what is the preterite tense? Well, the preterite freezes an action or state in the past time, or it is used to express actions that are over and done with. Let's look at the 4 uses of the preterite tense. The first one is the present. It is used to present an action in past time as completed. That's an important one. That's the one that we'll kind of be focusing on. So again, I'm going to bubble that word. Okay, completed, even if it took place over a long period of time. Examples. Who broke the toy? Completed past action. The toy was broken. Elena danced all night. Now, it's over and done with. Perhaps it was last night, but it happened over a long period of time. It's still over and done with. We lived in Alden for 5 years. So even though it took 5 years, we lived there, but we don't live there anymore. Second one, number 2, to give a sequence of actions or events. I'm going to put them both on there, sequence of events or actions in the past time. First, we went to Target, then we went to Panera for lunch. She worked until 11:30, then she went to lunch and returned home by 5. You can see there's a sequence of events. She worked until 11, then she went to lunch and returned home by 5 p.m. When I think about a sequence, I think about the sequence first, next, then, after that, and last. This is a butterfly sequence. The third uses of the preterite, the third of the uses, is to show the start or finish of an action or a change in state in the past time. Examples, he got angry. Okay, so that was the change of state. The sky clouded over, change of state. I like this picture because you can see that maybe behind there he was smiling, but then he put up the sign that he was changing his state. Okay. And the last one. This is to indicate an action that interrupts another action. Interrupts another action. The first action is usually in the in the imperfect tense. Okay, so example, while we were shopping. Okay, so while we were shopping, in Spanish, that would be imperfecto. And we won't really be working with this, but I want you to understand. I bought a pair of black shoes. So this is over and done with, right? This action interrupted. Okay, this action interrupted the shopping. I think about this as the car accident one, right? So on our way to grandma's house, we hit a car. So on our way, and the hit the car interrupted. Number one is really where we're going to be focusing. Okay, actions that are over and done with, something that's completed. So we're going to focus right here. Okay, to be able to talk about the past tense, you need to know when to use it. So we're going to look at some key words that indicate that the past tense should be used. I call them trigger words. Okay, so let's fill these in. Let's look at the top row first. Well, what do you notice in bold? Pasado, pasado, pasada, pasado, pasada, pasado. So that's going to be a big word that we need. Okay, so pasado looks like past, right? So if it's past, it's the last one. So el verano pasado, last. What's verano? It's a season. Last summer. Okay, I'm going to go down. Anoche is actually last night. Noche is night, last night. El otro día, well, we know día is day. The other day. Otro means other. The other day. El mes pasado, well, mes means month. And we know pasado now means last. So last month. Primero, luego, al final, or por fin. These are going to be our sequence words. Secuencia. Okay, these are our sequence words. Primero, first. Luego can mean then or later. Al final or por fin. Okay, al final can mean lastly or por fin, finally. Okay, those are our sequence words. Let's go back to the top of the second row. El blank pasado. Okay, well, in here you would put a day of the week, or you could put a month. El febrero pasado, el martes pasado, el sábado pasado. So whoops, let me fix that. Okay, whoops. Let's start with last. Last, and then it should be blank, and that blank again is the day or the month. So el martes pasado, last, let's just say Saturday. Last Saturday would be el sábado pasado. El sábado pasado. Ayer, yesterday. A las blank. Okay, well, this is going to be a time, but the time had to be earlier or before right now. So, like earlier today or before right now. Like it could be yesterday if it was a time. So I might say a las siete, right? Which would mean at 7. And it could be AM or PM. We don't know, just at 7 o'clock. So at 7. But now it has to be after 7 for it to be a trigger. Okay. It's after 7 now. I don't know if that makes sense. So if we were at school and it was lunchtime, I could say A las 8 yo llegué, right? So at 7 a.m. I arrived. And I know you're talking about 7 that happened in the morning. Okay. El fin de semana pasada. So we know pasada is going to go first. Last. And what is fin de semana? Weekend. Okay, we're on the third row. La semana pasada. Last. What is a semana? 7 días. Right? Last week. Este mañana. So this morning. Meaning that the morning already had passed, right? But now it's after that time, after morning. El año pasado, just to show you, last year, en mi vacación, on my vacation. So my vacation has to have already happened, right? So it's a vacation from like last vacation. Okay, so those are the trigger words. Make sure that you've got them down, and tomorrow we'll start talking in the past tense. Gracias.